This is my packing video for what I'm taking along to Italy, and bonus, you get a little taste of what Christina's bringing along as well. For those of you who haven't been following along on the podcast and other places, Christina and I are going to Italy with David McAdamy Tours. We are so excited about this for a couple of reasons. One, we've never been to Europe. Two, it's Italy. Delicious food. We're going to beautiful locations, and the whole purpose of this trip is photography. Now, many of you out there probably have gone on vacation with friends and family before, and it's always challenging if you're a photographer or you enjoy photography to balance that kind of line between spending normal hours with your family and capturing beautiful images of these places that you're traveling. The fact that this trip we're going on is primary purpose is to create beautiful images is really exciting. And then there's all the secondary stuff of being in Italy, getting to eat wonderful food, going to these amazing historic locations and learning more about the culture, and just experiencing life in other places is really exciting. But people asked for this video. It hasn't been that long since I've done a packing video. It was this summer. I took a bunch of family time, a lot of time at the beach, and just really fun. And somebody commented on that video, I'll put a link to that right down below, that you must not be flying because that's an awful lot of stuff. You are right. There was no flying in the trips this summer. It was all driving here or there, some canoeing. That's not flying. This obviously is different though because we're flying to Italy. And not only are we flying to Italy, but we are traveling a lot within the country, and each day, from point to point to capture all of these different photographic spots, we're going to be on the move a good bit. So I'm going to be traveling a lot lighter. Now you might be looking at this table and thinking, well, your version of lighter is different than my version of lighter. And that might be true, but I've really pared it down, and there's even a chance that I might pare it down a little bit more. We don't leave until tomorrow morning from when I'm recording this video, and we've got one more wedding to go through, so I'm going to be mulling over this stuff in my head. But this is basically what I think I'm taking to Italy, and as I said, I'll show you Christina's as well. I'm going to jump in, and I don't want this video to be too long. First thing that's coming along is my 5D Mark III. I toyed with the idea of bringing along something like the Sony a7R with that crazy dynamic range, 36 megapixels, really can make some beautiful images, but they're not that different from this camera, and this camera I'm very comfortable with, has amazing battery life, and of course I can use all of these different lenses without any adapters and nice fast focus. I am bringing along a different lens than usual though. Usually when I shoot weddings, a lot of the time my camera has on the 24-70 f2.8 from Canon. I'm leaving that home, and I'm going to bring along the 24-105 from Sigma. Now, it's f4, so I'm giving up a little bit of light there, but I'm gaining optical stabilization and I'm gaining a bigger range. It's actually a little bit heavier. I wish it was a little lighter, but that's all right. I recently did that interview with Adam about travel photography, and he's got a lot of good tips in there and talking about gear, travel later. He does travel with the Canon 24-105, which is a good lens. Now, my hope is that I'll be able to leave this back in the hotel room a little bit more often for the out and about trips, but we'll talk about that in a second. But the other thing that this gives me with that optical stabilization is slower shutter speeds in the darker, like inside of chapels and nightlife, as long as people aren't moving. And it also allows me to do some handheld video without worrying too much. But I'm also going to bring along a monopod. Monopods are great for a lot of different reasons. One is that they give you a really quick, easy way to stabilize something for slower shots or for video work. They also give you a selfie stick so you can hold it out and get a slightly better shot of yourself. Speaking of that, well, actually before we get to that, let's stay on track with the Canon lenses. The 70-200 f2.8 IS2. This lens is just absolutely fantastic. I can't say enough about it. The only downside, especially for travel photography, is it is heavy. It's a beast of a lens. After we are shooting a wedding for a few hours and we have these two things together, well, my arms are tired. I thought about renting the 70-200 f4 instead, but I'm not made of money, and I have this lens already. So it's going to come along, and I'm just going to suffer through carrying it. It's not going to be that bad. One of the reasons why I don't worry too much about leaving the f2.8 70-200 behind, the f2.8 24-70, is I'll have access to prime lenses. I'm bringing along the Sigma 50 f1.4, Fantastic, fantastic lens. And we'll talk about what Christina's bringing in a minute in more detail, but one of the lenses she's bringing is the Sigma 35 f1.4. So if I need a fast aperture, if I want to do some kind of creative background blur or artistic control, I'll have those lenses available to me. So I'm not too worried about it. That's it for the main Canon gear. The other camera that I'm bringing along, I had asked on my podcast for some suggestions. I had a lot of good suggestions, and at least one of them was the new Sony a5100. This is a tiny little interchangeable lens camera. It's using that Sony E-mount. It's got an APS-C sized sensor in there. It's very similar to the A6000, which I loved, absolutely loved. This does add a touchscreen, and it adds that higher end video codec. Now, it's got the little selfie flip up screen, and one of the things that I had asked on the podcast was, are people interested in a daily video of some sort? People said yes. And so having that ability to put it on the monopod or even just hold it out in the hand on a little tripod like this guy will give me the option to easily record that. Bringing along two lenses for it. The tiny little 20 f2.8, not stabilized, and the kit lens, which is the 16 to 50 optical stabilized, which honestly actually isn't even any bigger or heavier than the 20 f2.8. Really good image quality. That's a good APS-C sensor in there. Very lightweight. Good Wi-Fi connectivity for immediate sharing of pictures. And that way, you know, I'm considering this Sony to be my kind of documentary camera for this trip, documenting what we're doing, not necessarily being used to make the most fantastic pictures. That probably will be the job of the Canon most of the time. I picked this up just the other day on Amazon Gold Box deal. I had posted about it. It's this tiny little Joby tripod. It's got magnetic feet. I don't know if I have anything magnet to stick it to on this table, but it is strong enough to hold the GoPro in a little housing. And so I'm going to bring this along and stick it in different places. I don't know where exactly, but that's good. Another tripod that I might bring along, it's a little sturdier but still quite small, is this UltraPod 2. I'll try to put links to everything I'm talking about down below, but we're really getting down to the last minute. So they might not be there when you first watch the video. This is a nice tripod. You know, it doesn't take up much room at all. I don't know if I will bring it or not. I mentioned the GoPro, so I'm going to bring along the GoPro. I'm going to bring along one waterproof housing, one skeleton housing, and then just some of the bits that go along with the GoPro. The head mount. You know, I don't expect to be doing any type of action sports there, but this is good for a lot of kind of first-person views. What am I looking at? What am I talking about that I might use? And also in here, I think I'm bringing along a little circular polarizer. The other thing wonderful about the GoPro is using it for time lapses because it's so just simple to set up, say start shooting a time lapse, and just leave it running for a while, and you don't have to worry about shutter counts or anything like that. You do have to worry about battery life. I'm charging the batteries right now. I'm not going to bring a battery charger for it because you can charge them within camera. And that'll just have to do. I'm not going to stress about it too much. As I said, I'm really trying to pack fairly light. The other bits over here, this is the, oh, well, this is just a standard micro USB cord. A audio cord that will allow you to run audio into the GoPro. So if I want to hook up better audio to the GoPro, I can do that. A couple more little mounts. Oh, the tripod mount for the GoPro. So if I want to put it on a tripod, and then the little bolts for the GoPro. Trigger trap. Speaking of time lapses, as I was just mentioning, there may be times where I want to do a really high quality time lapse. I'm bringing along the newest trigger trap dongle plus the connection for my 5D Mark III. And I'll be running that off of my phone if I need to do any type of time lapse. And because I'll be running it off my phone, I'm bringing along that nifty little phone holder that goes into the hot shoe flash mount for tripods. So that slides in up here. Sorry, gives you a tripod mount in your flash hot shoe, like that. Spare tripod plate for my little Manfrotto travel tripod. Just a great tripod. Fits in my camera bag. I will show the camera bag that all of this is going into in a minute, but it's always important to bring along a spare. My primary one though is going to be this FP gear, and what I really love about this is it also fits that. It's got the little flip out to use with a Black Rapid strap. So Black Rapid of course has their own little attachment on the tripod hook, but I really love this guy because you can hook it, unhook it, and set it down onto the tripod. There's no unscrewing from the little spot there. So those things work really nicely together, and I'm really excited. I've been talking a little bit about this over the last couple of weeks, but there is a series of giveaways coming the month of November. They're going to start when we're back from Italy and I'm back from some other family time. And these guys, FP Gear, have so nicely signed on, so there'll be a chance to have these along with some Black Rapid straps if you follow along closely. So make sure you subscribe, hit the thumbs up button, come on over to the Facebook page. That's where most of that information will be posted, and give that a like as well. So I'm jumping all around the table here, so it's a little messy, but extension tubes. I did a long video about extension tubes for macro options, or I did a long video about macro options, including extension tubes. I'm really happy with the quality I get out of these and the magnification level. They take up basically no room, so why not bring them along if I want to do a macro shot of something. I've got another micro USB charging cable. I'll put that in the pile there. I've got a USB, was it mini USB? I can't keep micro and mini straight, but the other kind of USB that goes in things like the GoPro. And this is that little TP link that I use with DSLR controller when I'm shooting video with a 5D Mark III and I'm in front of the camera. It allows me to control via Wi-Fi all of the video options of my camera. It also allows me to pull images off if I wanted to. I probably won't have to use that very often because I'm going to be shooting with an iFi card that I'll talk about in just a second. I've done videos that talk about that. I've had requests to do videos about trigger trap versus DSLR controller. There is some overlap between them, but in general they're quite different programs. Trigger trap really for setting up time lapses and a variety of different time lapses and triggering your camera in different ways. DSLR controller is really about controlling your camera remotely and having live view streaming to you wherever you're sitting with your phone. Little travel journal. I keep notes and different information in. I really like being able to physically write something down. A little pen to go with that. The cheap little Canon remote. This is the RC6. Can start and stop video, can make a picture happen from a distance. It's so small, and it's just a quick way to trigger a camera if it's on a tripod and you don't want to be touching it because it's a little bit of a longer exposure or it's in an awkward position. So that's coming along as well. Did I say this tripod here might be coming along? I think I did. This is a mess. Travel adapters with USB connectors. This one has one, this one has two. This one currently has the wrong plug sticking out of it, but these are all for Italy and are going to keep everything powered up. Sorry, I started this video and then I had a camera malfunction, and so I actually don't remember. Did I already talk about the Canon? I think I did. So I'm going to leave that there. I'm going to bring two Canon batteries, maybe three, because they don't take up a whole lot of room. But as I said, battery life on this camera is absolutely fantastic. I'm going to bring along one battery charger, and it's, yeah, what more do you need to say about that? Oh, this little thing is, oh, the downside to the Sony is I'm only bringing one battery and it charges via USB. That's both a downside and an upside because I can charge it on the go with something like the little Rav Power, which right now is charging my Zoom. My Zoom is going to come along, the H4n, along with these two XLR input lav mics that are pinned right here to me right now, because that's how I get my best audio. And I think that's going to work really nice and give me flexibility if I want to do any kind of interviews with other people on there. Allie McKay of Allie and David McKay loves infrared photography and has expertise in that, and I know people are always interested about that, so I might get a chance to interview her about that. I'm going to bring a cheap little Yongnuo 468 flash because it's light, it's cheap, and we're not going to use flash a whole lot probably, but it's nice to have that flexibility of having one along in case we want to. A little flash hot shoe bubble level. That's nice for setting up for panoramas or video work to make sure everything is leveled. Memory cards. I've got two 64 gig CF cards that will be sitting here in the Canon. I have a spare 16 and a 32 SD and the iFi card. Now I mentioned I probably won't need to use the TP-Link very often for the wireless because I'm going to be shooting. There's dual card slots in the 5D Mark III. There's compact flash and there's SD. In the SD, I'll have the little iFi card. I'll be shooting to small or medium JPEGs on this, and it's so easy. With one button push, I have it set up that it automatically sends it over to my to my phone. And that works really nicely for sharing on the go. And so that's what I'm going to be doing. I will be shooting full RAWs to the CF cards. My plan, I didn't bring this over, but I have a 1 gigabyte portable Transcend drive that's going to come along on the trip along with my MacBook Pro. I will be backing up images each night from the cards, but then putting the cards back in the camera. I really don't see myself running out of room for just pictures. Video is another story though, and I probably will have to be pulling the video off at regular intervals if I'm creating a lot of video. This fast PNY card is going to be inside the little Sony a5100, which I may or may not have mentioned has that really nice higher end video codec. It should look quite good. I'm really impressed with that APS-C sensor in there, really nice. And I'm going to have a full review of this camera by the time I'm back, or shortly after I'm back. One of the things that's kind of annoying is it has a touch screen, but it's just barely a touch screen. You can select focus points and you can click to take a picture, but the menu system, you still have to use the buttons. And because it is such a small camera, the sacrifice you make is very limited customizability. And for changing a lot of stuff, you're sharing buttons and you have to remember that, oh, now that I'm in this function, pushing down does this versus that function, it does that. But I think you get used to that and it looks pretty good. Talked about the Mi Photo tripod, travel tripod. Love this. It's wonderful. Perfect size, fits in my camera bag, which I'll show you in just a minute. Talked about all of the GoPro bits up here that are coming along. Spare travel tripod and the FP gear that I mentioned. Lens cleaners. I have a pair of scissors on the table for some reason. Don't need those. Tiny little headlamp, takes 3 AAA batteries. Love this for shooting in the dark when you need just a little bit of light to see what you're doing. It's so small, it takes up no room. CF card reader, just plugs into the USB, works quite nicely. That's just a spare audio splitter, don't use that. I've got a neutral density filter. I have 2 circular polarizers, one for the 24 to 70, one for the 24 to 105, one for the 70 to 200, and I also have a little adapter ring to be able to use it on some of the other prime lenses as well. Nice black rapid strap, very comfortable, very easy way to carry your camera. The GPS dongle that fits on top of the 5D Mark III and automatically tags pictures as you go. It is powered by 1 AA battery. Now, I'm probably going to take this, but I'm not convinced I am yet because I'm also going to bring along this little Garmin Fennec watch, which has a GPS, or is a GPS that you can wear on your wrist, and has good battery life, will last about a day, and you can export out of here what Garmin calls an adventure that you can then turn into a GPX track with a quick export that will then go into Lightroom and you can tag any images that you've already brought. The downside to this is they only get tagged once they're on the computer and you've done all of the other steps. The upside to this is they're tagged as soon as you take a picture. So if I'm sharing to Instagram, and you may see that I'm a little neurotic about things like this here, but if I'm sharing to Instagram, that is going to be the correct location written in to the spot, even if I'm sharing it on Instagram a few hours later and it doesn't know where I am, so I don't have to go back and I don't have to do any kind of rigmarole to change that around. This is this little case or a little handheld thing that I could put a GoPro on and audio devices on that will allow me to carry that around, or the Sony can fit on here, and then my Zoom could sit up there as well and have much better audio quality for that. Although I've been impressed with the audio quality out of the little Sony, it's fine. Pocket knife. My little Commander Strong action figure, because why not? Case for sunglasses that also has earplugs in it for comfort. This is a little MiFi device that is configured for Italy. So once I'm in Italy, I will have internet access and a little adapter that goes along with it as well. And I think that's pretty much it. I'm packing all of this stuff in this think tank bag, and as I said, I've got one more wedding after this, so I am not ready to pack everything just right yet, but it's all going to fit in here, and this is going to be my main carry-around bag. These bags are really, really comfortable, really well made. We stuff them full of gear for every wedding weekend. It does have nicer padded waist belt straps that I will be attaching for this. And day-to-day carry-around, or my little personal item, if you want to talk about it in airplane terms or carry-on terms, is this think tank bag, which can actually hold the Canon with a 24-105 and the 7200. It's already kind of a heavy bag. It's the retrospective 10, and when both of those things are in there, my shoulder does feel like it's going to fall off within just an hour or so. So I'm probably going to, when I need both of these things out with me, be using the backpack. But it's all going to fit into those things. I mentioned showing you briefly what Christina's going to bring along. She's got the Sigma 35. She also will be using the 50. I'll probably make her carry that as much as possible. She's got her 5D Mark III with the 85 f1.2 and her film camera, the Contax. With what lens does she have on here? An 80mm lens. This is a medium format film camera. It makes beautiful, beautiful images. She has a lot of fun using it and has made some great images on some of our other travels as well. It's heavy, it's bulky, but she's going to bring it along. And probably her little Canon 35mm film camera as well. She still has to work out the battery issue. With less than 24 hours to go, I don't know if that will happen, but she plans to bring that along. If you've got any questions about all of this stuff, just leave a comment down below. My answers probably will be a little delayed as we're going to be traveling. But keep an eye out on this channel, because over the next couple of weeks we will have, I don't know if they're going to be daily videos, but at least some fairly regular updates about our travels, what we're up to, what gear we're using, and of course we'll do a full debrief when we get back and say, why did I bring the head mount for the GoPro? It never even left my bag, which is very possibly something I might say when I return. Thanks so much for watching. If you haven't already, please subscribe and hit that thumbs up button if you thought this was interesting enough that other people should take a look and give it a watch as well. Thanks. Bye-bye.